No annual fee. You're pre-approved. Up to a $5,000 credit limit, plus no annual fee. 0% on balance transfers for 15 months. Important documents enclosed. Do not ignore. This is a valid offer. Well, all right. Look at all these fine folks wanting to give me money. You know, every day we get blasted with opportunities for credit. For many of us, credit's pretty easy to obtain, and sometimes too easy, especially if you're just starting out. And just as easy as it is to get credit, it's even easier to wreck it, which can take a long time to fix. Now, everybody knows you need to have credit in order to buy things. And this is especially true when it comes to an expensive item like a home or a vehicle. And when it comes to these big ticket items, even if you have a good credit score, if you don't have a good variety of credit types, you may not get the best rate, and you may even have difficulty getting approved at all. Wait, you mean to tell me you're not aware of not only the different credit types, but also the importance of having a credit report that showcases that variety? Well, how do you not know? Well, I'll tell you how you don't know. It's because they don't teach us this in school. It'd be a lot cooler if they did. Instead, school teaches us a bunch of unnecessary things that doesn't really prepare us for life or give us a chance to be successful. We then stumble through adulthood, dazed and confused. Let me ask you, when has your life been enhanced with the ability of being able to differentiate an obtuse and scalene triangle? Did that get you a lower interest rate? Well, no, it didn't at all. I tell you, the only two triangles that have ever enhanced my life are the ones I found in the pizza box and the one on the cover of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon album. Both of these are isosceles, and both of these usually go together at the same time. Or how about this? I landed that manufacturing job due to my ability of memorizing the periodic table. Said no one ever. Now, most neighborhoods have that one chemist, and you ask them about the periodic table, they're going to tell you it's in the kitchen. Now, they may know which aisle in the supermarket you can find the baking soda, but they can't even begin to explain how to secure a loan without needing a cosigner. How many times do you see those commercials that offer credit relief counseling, or they offer to repair damaged credit? Sadly, quite a bit. What you don't see is a commercial with a number to call for sentence diagram relief. Can you help me? I just don't know what to do with this dangling participle. Man, at my age, it's not the grammatical dangling participle that I'm concerned about. Now, WK has seen all kinds of credit situations, both good and bad. So we've learned a few things on what it takes to get a vehicle loan. Now, the WK Burnouts, we're not financial advisors by any means. We just have done a lot of stupid stuff financially. So hopefully you can learn from our mistakes and help get yourself on the path to good credit with a good credit mix, or maybe even rebuild what you already have. So hop on in, take a few hits off the information we pass around, because everybody knows the Burnouts always have the good stuff. Time to mash the gas and let's smoke it.
welcome to the WK Burnout Studio. I'm Christina.
And I'm Dustin.
And this is Alan.
He's back there.
It's been a rough morning for Alan. So today, Dustin, what we are going to talk about is we get a lot of questions about credit.
Okay. I didn't know.
Yeah, you didn't know. Surprise.
Cool. Credit. All right.
So, when buying a car, of course, credit is important.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just going to kind of run through the basics. We're going to kind of let you see and what we expect on our side.
Right.
So,
and this is from a non-financial advisor
Yes.
or credit counselor's point of view, just for reference.
Yeah.
With suggestions and stuff like that are just based on how we made our credit better. So
yes. And as we see people, come in, the applications come in, we get a lot of questions, and you would think that they're not common sense questions because it is hard.
It's complicated. It's what we think probably should be in like a high school class or something. It might be. We haven't been to high school in a while, so that maybe they do this now.
For yourself.
Sorry. I mean, I haven't been. Christina she just graduated.
Yep. So anyways, let's start with the basics. So what is credit? So credit is it's the ability to buy goods or services and with the expectations of paying that back.
Right.
And possibly with interest, more than likely with interest.
So it's like your report card, basically for paying people back.
Yes.
Right.
Perfect example. Yeah. Yes. And there's three main types. So there's your installment loans, there's your revolving credit, and then there's your service credit. So there's different categories, fall into those.
So what's under revolving?
So your revolving credit would be like a credit card. Okay. So say you have a credit card that has $10,000 limit on it. That $10,000 you can borrow, pay back, and possibly, raise your credit limit and so forth. And then the service credit, like your utilities, your gas bill, your direct TV, things that are needed for your
cell phone bill.
Yeah. Things like that you'll need for living, which is kind of your installment loan.
Yeah.
Is your car loan, your mortgage. Yes. So yes, you may, you get an installment loan for your vehicle for $20,000, but you don't pay back. I mean, you do, but it's not revolving.
You a $20,000 revolving. You pay it down based on the terms of the loan.
Right. Yeah. You don't have a $20,000 limit and you pay down your car to 10 and then you go buy another one for 10, so then you have two. No,
so that's the difference between installment and revolving. Installment's based on a contract, a set term, set payments, and set interest rate, stuff like that. So it's all like black and white.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and that blank, excuse me. Can you edit that out, Alan? So that also brings to, why credit is so important, because you may not think about these things as you are young building credit, but credit can affect you getting a certain job.
Get an apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your car insurance.
Oh, yeah.
Just
sorts of different stuff. They pull your credit to look at.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And also the big thing is that it determines how much the bank is going to expect in return for letting you borrow that, amount of money.
So how much of a risk is it for the bank to give you this amount of money? That's how they determine how much of a risk it is, which changes your interest rate, right? So if it's a big risk to them, you would think it'd be the opposite way. But if it's a big risk to them, they'll charge you more and more interest, right?
Yes.
And that's because they're not still totally sure that you're going to completely fulfill that obligation.
Right.
So they want to get more of their money quicker by giving you a higher interest rate, because it's on collateral. It's on an asset. It's on a car, which is a depreciating asset. Therefore, and based on how you treat it and stuff, they just don't really know. When the bank gives the money, they buy the car and you're paying them back for the car that you have. Right. So, I mean, it's there's a risk, and that's why the interest rate varies based on your score, your history, and things like that. Things. Right.
You had mentioned collateral, which I know that is for a long time. I did not understand. I'm like, what do you mean I can't collateral? I don't have any. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So when you borrow money from a bank, more than likely you're going to have collateral. When you get an auto loan, the car is your collateral.
Yeah.
Your home, you don't a home loan
on a mortgage.
Your mortgage is
the home is the collateral.
Your collateral.
It's something they can take back.
Yes.
To try and recoup their money that they paid for that thing that you were paying them for. Right.
Yep.
It's something that they can tangibly, physically take back.
Yep.
Car, house, tractor, side by side,
stuff
with vehicle identification
what
numbers.
What did you say earlier? Kubota, what?
Kubota. It's a brand of tractor.
What? Anyways.
Talk to Jonathan about this later.
But revolving credit, you do not, most of the time you do not have to have a collateral. If you have secured and unsecured.
Right.
Most credit cards are unsecured. But you don't have collateral. So you can go buy a camera or groceries.
You can spend it on a bar tab if you're crazy. You know? There's just.
Yeah. But, and that comes into our next subject of how to build, when you're building your credit or rebuilding your credit. One of the main things is, yes, credit card offers come in the mail all the time when you turn 18. Oh my gosh, you get flooded with them. Yes. Yeah. That can be good, that can be bad, and rebuilding credit, it can be good, it can be bad. But the biggest thing to getting your credit and building your credit is to have that credit card and use it responsibly. Keep under 30% of your available credit spent. So you have a card, it's $1,000 credit limit. Do not spend any more than $300 on it.
Yeah.
At a month.
So it may be tempting to be like, hey, I got a credit card. It's got a $1,000 limit. I've been wanting this camera.
Come on, girls, let's go to the bar. Yeah. I'm just kidding. I'm not a bar.
Yeah, whatever. Something like that. But a really good rule of thumb, especially when you're first starting out with a credit card or you're rebuilding, is don't use the credit card for stuff that you couldn't buy without the credit card.
Correct.
Okay. So if you don't have the money to pay for that item that you're getting right then, especially when you're just starting out and you have credit cards with really low limits, you shouldn't use the credit card for that. You know what you should use your credit card for?
Oh gosh.
Gas.
Yes.
It's something you have to get anyhow, something that you're going to pay for anyhow. If you want to build and do stuff correctly, get you a Shell card or a Phillips, one of those, right? Because it's got like the gas station logo on the front. And I, for years, didn't even think you could use those anywhere but that gas station. Right. But really just get one to use for gas. If you're trying to build, like when you're young and you get all these offers in, pick out the, especially right now, pick out the one that saves you money on gas and just use it for gas. Yeah. That you would have to buy anyhow.
Yeah, right? You're going to have to buy gas to go to work, to come home, to visit your parents so they can do your laundry.
You don't go to a Kohl's card may be cool. I don't know. Kohl's is great, and it helps you with the savings and the discounts and the things like that. But dude, you can get into a spot where you're getting stuff that you wouldn't be able to get if you didn't have that card.
Right.
So gas, to me, if I was to when I tell all my kids what to do or help them with something, even as a parent, get a gas card and then add them as an authorized user when they're 18, right? Yeah. So that they can start building credit early. And when you give them a Shell card, they'll probably think the same thing. You can only use it at the gas station. So then you won't get screwed over because they just use it on gas.
They'll just use it on gas.
Sorry for them and their friends, but whatever.
Yeah. You won't have a whole bunch of craziness on there, but
so that's good. That's a good way and a good, I don't know. That's just a good thought on how to build and how to start. Like when you
absolutely.
Somebody.
And if you are rebuilding, credit, because a lot of people have been in this situation where something happens, bad things happen to good people. It happens, but you have a late payment or a bankruptcy or repossession or collections, something like that does stay on your report.
Like 7 years. Yeah.
7 to 10 years. So when we're saying be responsible, we're not kidding.
Yeah. You have to be, they keep track of, okay, So if you're late on your car payment, you have to be late like a few times before they come get it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that it's okay to just be late and get it paid before they come get it. They keep track of the credit bureau shows every single time you were 30 days, 60 days, 90 days late, right? For the whole entire term of the loan. So it might have every single month payment is listed on there, and it might have all good payments until like a few months when you had, 60 days late, 90 days late. That stuff stays with you for like 7 years.
Yeah.
And it has a big effect.
Oh, yeah.
So,
absolutely.
I mean, we talked earlier, if you're in a spot where you're going to be a little late, don't just like not say anything until they send another letter. Call them and be like, hey, I just changed jobs. It's going to be, that is how you should do it with any of your creditors, whether it's a credit card or an auto loan or a mortgage, especially with a mortgage, you better call them and let them know. But like any of that stuff, you just communicate with the lending institutions so that, they know that you're going to pay it. You haven't just like, fuck, because when you first are late, they're like, oh gosh, what happened to him?
Right.
So
when it's not, when it's not your routinely thing, and you miss a payment, sometimes it slips your mind. Yeah. It happens. People get busy or whatever.
But call them and let them know, hey, it's on its
way.
Don't just
remember,
put it in and send it.
Oh crap. Hey. But do not get discouraged if you're trying to rebuild your credit and you think there is no end in sight. There is. There truly is. You just have to get back on track. Make your payments on time. Yep.
Every time.
And then
that's all payments too. Sorry.
Yes.
We talked about earlier services credit. That factors into the overall thing. Yep. If you've gotten in the habit of paying your electric bill a month late every month or something, I don't know, but don't do that. Pay all of that stuff on time every time. Yep. Right.
Absolutely.
That's just really important. And if you're not going to pay on time, just call them and let them know. Yep. And eventually they may be like, dude, you got to figure out how to do this on time. But making that initial call before you're late. Yep. If you know you're going to be late, call them before you're late. They're like, oh, well, and then this probably won't even count it on there. I mean, they have the ability to do that. So,
and talking about the services credit, like utilities and so forth, remember this, your cell phone bill, your most services payments will not show, they do not report to the credit bureau unless you do not pay them.
Yeah, unless you don't pay them, they won't even be on there. So
they won't even.
Don't for sure think that you're building your credit by having a utility bill in your name or a cell phone bill in your name. Yeah, especially if you're doing it all on time. Yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah.
And don't think, oh, I'm not plugging anything trying to, but DirecTV, they screwed me over and I'm not paying them that $120 installation fee. Oh, but you will.
They'll let everybody know you didn't pay it. And that's out of your control. So just pay them or just stream your stuff. I don't know. Watch YouTube, watch Burnouts on YouTube instead of DirecTV. Look how entertaining we are.
Plug. Right? But so anyway, so we just wanted to make sure, that
that's stuff we just hear so often, and that's just
it's just part of it, but
could be helpful.
So when we talk about what is credit, the scores. So everybody is always think, well, what's my score? Where's my score? How's my score? Your scores range from 250 to 900. Okay, that's how they are. That the higher your score, the bank or the lender or whoever sees that you are more than likely going to pay back that loan. So therefore it could be an automatic approval, from the computer, just, oh, yep, they're great. Now there's different credit bureaus, Expirian, TransUnion, Equifax, and then you have your FICO score, which is if I remember this right, Fair Isaac Corporation.
Yeah.
Okay. So what that is they made that a stable whatever way to rate you on your score.
So it's like a standardized form of rating, at least for the United States.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So it kind of takes your 3 credit bureaus and averages them out. So most of the time you don't have to worry about your FICO score. You just worry about these 3 over here. But we won't go into too much detail, but did you know that there's like FICO for mortgage. There's 8 different FICOs for auto loans. There's like FICO for this, FICO for that. I'm like, what? And the only reason why I know that is because whenever I was researching this information, I was like, holy cow. Had no idea.
So
I thought there was just one.
It's never just one number that any place uses.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so important to keep in mind because you can get your heart broken really easy if you're just watching, certain stuff to see what your score is and then find out that it's different. But, the big thing about, the score is, it starts and it ends in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a kid, you're just getting started. You're a 0,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
When you first get something
a ghost is what it's a ghost.
A ghost,
yes.
0, no history, no record,
mm-hmm.
not even any record at all of you,
mm-hmm.
right? So when you first get your first loan or credit card or whatever it is
mm-hmm.
that starts you on your journey with credit,
Mm-hmm.
you don't start at like a, 250 or whatever.
Right.
No, you start in the middle. Okay. So mm-hmm. it puts you usually somewhere in the 6s or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then what you do next is where you go. You have to work to get down to a 3. You don't start off at a 3.
Yeah.
You go from a 0 to the middle. And if things go poorly and you've proven yourself to not be a reliable payer of debts owed, then it goes down, right? Mm-hmm. When you first get started being in the 6s, that's your opportunity to get the gas card. The gas card. It's a credit card for gas with a gas station thing on it. That's so important. That's probably the best way to do it. If you're going to get one of those, you know.
I agree. You have me sold. I do. You do. You have me sold.
It'll be a pamphlet. It's not very much to talk about, but it'll be a pamphlet. Get the gas credit card. Don't screw around with other stuff.
Yeah, don't. Now, I just want to say this, and whether I don't know if it's correct or not,
opinion
but
time.
Listen,
yes,
you have to work just as hard to get to a 300 score as you do to get to an 800 or 900 score.
Yeah, you got to ignore a lot of people.
Hard.
You have to park your car in different places probably to keep people from repossessing it. I mean, you got to work hard to do that.
Yeah, and it's stressful.
Yeah.
So much more stressful than if you just got yourself back on track.
Yeah.
If you're behind, I'm just saying.
Yeah, it could be a challenge.
Yes.
None of it's easy.
Yes.
But,
so don't think that, oh my gosh, it's going to be so hard to get to an 8 or a 900. Yes, it's hard, but it's also hard to get to a 300.
Yeah.
So just be responsible.
The choice is yours.
Yeah.
Be responsible, show responsibility,
right.
Pay things on time.
Yep.
Don't buy stuff at all.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a good rule of thumb.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about your credit report, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we can talk about credit worthiness and, worthiness with income and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But something that no lender really takes into account is how much it costs you to live.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
What if you have 9 kids and you have to buy like 9 gallons of milk every 4 days? Yeah. Seriously.
Milk bill. That's what you said. The milk bill.
If you got the milk bill, they don't take any of that into account. So you need to do your own budget. Mm-hmm. Just because you're approved for X amount on a house and X amount on cars doesn't mean you need to spend that much.
Mm-hmm.
You have your own budget. They don't take any of that stuff into account.
Yep.
And you need to. It's really important. I mean, they'd never ask how many children you have on when you're applying for credit.
Yeah.
They never ask what your responsibilities are to the other family members, other things, they just see the black and white, gross income, and credit worthiness. So do your own budget before you just jump in and if I've got a $10,000 limit, that means I can spend $10,000 on it. If I'm approved for $35,000, that means I will spend $35,000 on this car. No, man, you just take you figure out with your budget, think what that payment is first. Mm-hmm. If you can't make it on time, every time, take a step back.
Yep.
I think that's really important to remember is there's a lot of things they don't take into account when you get that big pre-approval for a $200,000 mortgage.
Right.
Yeah. They didn't ask any other questions.
Nope.
They didn't ask about anything but what you make, what your credit looks like.
Yep. And, talking about the credit bureaus, you can get a free credit a free credit bureau.
Yeah, like
free credit report
once a year.
Once a year
Yeah.
from each
one of them.
from each
individually.
bureau. Yep.
And they have like a phone number, email address.
Yep.
Maybe we should post. Can we post that? We can post those
Down in the things.
In the things. We can do that.
That's good. Alan, take note. But yes, you can. And that is really good to get in the habit of once a year doing that, because then you can check if there's, any fraudulent,
you can make sure that
information.
your cousin didn't take out DirecTV in your name and then not pay them. Yeah. You should look at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so those are important because you can see, what open credit cards you have, your balances. You can see your mortgage payment or, your debt to income, your whatever your monthly responsibilities are.
Mm-hmm.
And
the percentage of your.
There's it's a detailed report and it's good to do.
You should get all of them. You should look at all of them. I mean, it's once a year. Do it on, I don't know, New Year's Day or something.
Yeah. Just get in the habit of doing it. Yeah. So quick question. Dustin, stop.
I'm not supposed to move. I have a squeaky chair. Can you hear that? Okay. I'm not moving anymore. Okay.
Poor Alan. So disappointed.
Proceed. I will try not to move anymore.
So quick question.
Yes.
What do you think the percentage of Americans have a credit score above a 700?
54.
How did you know?
What? That was right?
That was right.
No
yes.
way. It's up there on the screen. That's crazy.
Yes.
I can read.
So 54% of Americans are considered to have good credit. Like 700 and above is kind of, it's not great. 900 is great, of course, but 700 and above
is good.
Good. Yes.
Is good.
Yes.
It might not get you 0% promotional rates from, automotive manufacturers. It might not get you the absolute best mortgage rate, but it will be a lot. It will be, good enough to go.
Yep. So you just have to, so if you have questions about credit or what you need to do, ask somebody, because if your mom or dad probably are good. If not your mom or dad, your grandma and grandpa, somebody that you can say, hey, will you please help me? I'm establishing credit or reestablishing credit because I went through a divorce or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, or look stuff up. Or if you don't have any resources at all, I mean, you can find a credit counselor, and a lot of them do, especially when you're just starting, like a free consultation. It's just online stuff. So it's stuff that you can get. You can get the advice that we're giving from professionals, probably in a more detailed way and stuff.
We are not
licensed in any fashion for giving advice, but we just like answering questions and looking stuff up.
So top 5 things that are considered when calculating your score.
Right.
Sorry, brain fart for a minute. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll keep it off iTunes.
He can't pay attention. So,
he's got his headphones on. He can hear us. Okay. Top 5 things.
So top 5 things that factor how your score is calculated: on-time payments, amount owed, length of credit, new credit, and credit mix. Okay. So those 5 things are how your score is calculated. That's what the credit bureaus look for. Credit mix means installment loans, revolving credit, service credit, just not just credit cards. Oh no, I've got $100,000 worth of credit card. That's not
smart.
You
got to have an installment. Yeah. Right.
That's not smart. I remember we talked about, we were going to bring up the bank, the Farmers Bank or something, wasn't it?
Okay. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
So local banks, small town local banks, they are wonderful for the community. Sometimes they're what keeps the community, there by supporting the local businesses and farmers and local people, Here's the thing. Sometimes they don't report to the national credit bureaus. Sometimes the bank president, who's been there for 100 years and, is the credit bureau for that community. I mean, they don't do out of community lending. It's just for the people there. This is kind of, we're rural. Yeah. And so as surrounding communities, we see this, know it. We love them. They're great for their communities. But if, for example, a kid went in with a grandparent to, get co-signed for a loan at the local bank, to help build credit, that can sometimes not help you at all if that bank doesn't report to the National Credit Bureau.
Right.
It can also make it so that if you have been a farmer for 50 years in your community, you've bought houses, you've bought millions of dollars in implements, you've bought land, done it all through your community bank. Then you see an advertisement on TV for 0% APR and you're like, oh man, that'd be pretty cool to go up to the dealership, you know. And
Sorry,
you're like,
Farmer
hey, I want to
John.
get that. I'm like, dude, you don't qualify for that because you're like 702.
Yeah.
That's a fine score and stuff, but you haven't done anything for 30 years, with anything other than your local bank that doesn't report.
Right. Yeah.
So that's just something to keep in mind. We don't want you to be upset or disappointed. You just might have to go through your bank if if you've never done anything but go through them. If it's one of those, farmers banks, local banks that just doesn't report. Yeah. Kind of for the sake of their community sometimes too. Yeah. That's
they want to keep you, they want to keep you coming to their,
there's only one person that has a cafe in town and it's gone down a couple of times.
Yep.
But they're always able to get, the money together from the bank to get another one started.
President Bob of the bank knows Julie or
loves
whoever.
The apple pie there. And although hard times happen, sometimes. So that's kind of something to keep in mind as you're learning about credit. And then you realize, well, what you can not report? Yeah, some banks don't report.
Yep. So one thing we also want to talk about is hard inquiries versus soft pulls. Okay. So when you get those promotional things in the mail, like you're pre-approved for, I keep talking about credit cards, but it's free. You can do it for anything.
Whatever. Yeah.
Personal loan for up to $10,000, whatever the case may be. They do what's called a soft pull. So
they don't need your social.
They don't need your social. They don't need your birth date. It's your name and address.
Okay.
And so they send you that information because they have pre-qualified you. So, but you will see when you read the fine print, this is not, this is just a pre-qualification. This is not, you may qualify for $2,000 instead of $10,000 once they soft pull. The pre-qualification is based on a soft pull. The hard pull is when they get your social, your birthday, your income,
living information, like a full application. They want to know your job. They want to know your job time, your residence, all that stuff, right? So that's where you're actually getting. So you have a pre-approval for something based on basically nothing. It's based on an overall score of credit, but not on your income, your job, where you stuff like that.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
So when it says on the sign, no credit check required, they still look at stuff though, right?
They do.
So even at the no credit check required place, you can get shot down if you've really worked hard to get to that point in credit worthiness where they're like, no, don't do it. Yeah. So keep that in mind too. I mean, even if you just go to places where no credit check is required,
that's
for
still
all your stuff, then you could still end up being noticed for not paying people back. You might not even qualify for that at some point.
Right. So when you go into and fill out the actual application, that is a hard pull.
That's a hard pull, and that's the one that shows on your credit history.
Bureau. Yes.
But so we've talked a little bit about this before. The difference in like Credit Karma scores and stuff like that. So let's talk about that a little bit.
So Credit Karma is, again, that would be kind of considered a soft pool. Okay. Because they don't use your social. They don't use whatever. They have a whole different scoring system. Credit Karma is a great tool for if you are trying to rebuild your credit and you need to know your balances. Like if you're going to do that snowball effect where you get the lowest balance, you have these things to pay. So it's a great tool for keeping an eye on any fraudulent information, any of that kind of stuff, because they'll tell you when you have an inquiry, any of that stuff. But please do not use Credit Karma as the tool for your credit score.
Right. Because it's not the credit score that the lenders see whenever they're determining your credit worthiness.
Correct.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the analogy?
So the best thing that I have found is using Credit Karma for your score. Checking your Credit Karma score is like going on and entering your symptoms in WebMD.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
You're going to end up with.
So it's information and it's good. It's not like wrong or anything, but it's not exactly what the doctor or the lender would say every time. Okay.
Right.
So that makes sense. Yeah. Good tool, useful. But for example, if you're wanting to get a incentivized interest rate, that means like a 0% from on a new car or something. The required minimum scores for that are based on the credit bureau that bank uses,
right?
TransUnion, Equifax, not on the exact number. So if you know you need to be a 780 or above to get 0% for 60 months, on this vehicle, you can't just wait until or you watch your Credit Karma score and then be like, it says 780, I'm in. And then they're like, no, dude, it says 745 on your Equifax.
Right.
And then you're like, hell no, it says it right. No, because that's a different score. It's a good tool.
Yeah.
It's good that you're keeping track of stuff.
Yes.
But don't battle on that hill because it's up to
You're
what the lender.
down.
Yeah. It's up to what the lender uses. And, so to avoid being disappointed, try and like, don't just treat that as the gospel when it comes to what your actual score is. Yeah. Right.
And it could go in your favor. Like we've seen them.
Yeah. Sometimes
both.
it's higher.
Yeah. Sometimes it's 100 points higher.
Yeah.
I have seen, and it's also been 100 points lower.
Yeah.
So then what your real score versus what Credit Karma says. So,
and it seems to be a lot more disparity between what they show and what it is, the lower you are. So if you're in the 500s, you don't really know what it's going to come up with on the actual bureau for an auto loan to get a car.
Right.
Which again, we are not licensed experts on any of this advice.
Right.
But this is just something that we see that questions that come up. So that's probably a big thing to keep in mind. Is the lower your stuff is, the more you need to be working on keeping track of it.
Yep.
But you when you can't get a car still, there's other factors,
than just the score, that Credit Karma is showing. And again, it is a great tool, but you would not believe the amount of people who they fill out the credit app and then it's, you don't qualify for the promotional pricing. However, blah, blah. Well, why not? It's a great tool. Just don't.
It's not the sale and all. The bank doesn't look at it and use it. They literally don't care what that number is. Yep. They have the numbers that they pay for, every single one of them, or we do. Yeah. We pay
charges every time.
And Equifax and to get this information. And so that's why it's,
important to know what to expect, and that's why we are doing this episode. That's why we want to, hey, here's what to expect, whether you're buying a car, a house, whatever, you have to know what credit is and you have to know the basics.
Yeah.
So kind of in closing, make your payments on time. Yeah. Say your favorite one.
Gas station credit card. Gas station credit card. It's really important. I think that's the only way to fly.
Gas station credit card. Make your payments on time. Don't close your account. If you have a credit card and you paid it off, don't close it.
So if you have a gas station credit card and then you get another gas station credit card that has even more off per gallon, you have to cancel the first one.
Yeah.
That'll just be, they'll be like, whoa, what is he doing? He's canceling cards.
Because
so
length of history.
Yeah. Length of history. This one you've had for a few years longer. You want to keep that on there.
Yes.
Right. So, but then use the one with even more cents off per gallon or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
I bet I bet if we put, we don't have one, but I bet if you put a little affiliate link in there of a gas station credit card, I
don't even have one. I don't have any credit cards. Hey, I got married and she fixed all my stuff. So but if I get one, I'm going to get a gas station one. So if I give advice on anybody for anybody to get one, it's going to be the gas station one.
There you go. You can do the GM card too. GM card.
I do have one of those. Yeah, to get my rewards points.
To get rewards points.
Yeah. I don't use it to buy stuff though, really, but I probably should more often.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
Gas, I could use gas with it. points off.
Fire.
I don't know. I'm just saying the gas. Pay for gas with a credit card. You're going to use a credit card.
And then pay it off every month.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You have to buy it anyhow. So it's like totally already in budget.
Right.
As long as you budgeted for gas. So,
well, some people. Anyways, but that's just, kind of the closing thoughts.
Yeah.
Make your payments on time. Don't close your accounts. Have someone help you with building or rebuilding credit. Don't be too embarrassed to ask, whatever because it's important. It could affect your job. It could affect your car insurance. It could affect your what house or home you're going to rent, So just be responsible. Make sure you're,
keep your ducks in a row. You know?
Keep your ducks in a row. Don't have squirrels.
No squirrels, just ducks.
I have squirrels lately. Man, it has been a ride.
All right.
But, so I think that's the show. I think we're good. Yep.
If you guys have any questions, look in the thing for the links that Alan's going to put in there. It's where you can get your free bureau report every year from each one of the credit thing. We don't know where Alan's going to find those though. He's going to post them.
Alan's going to find.
We're sure they exist.
Yeah. Alan's going to find those.
Yeah.
So, if you found this informational and entertaining, do what?
I said informative.
Informational, informative. Isn't that? If you found this entertaining, please share and like and subscribe. But otherwise, we will cruise on by and pick you up next week. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, supposed to look at that one. Dang it.
Thank you.
This has been a WK Burnouts production.